The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil. With me, as always, producer Jake. We're here going to break down the 6 games we've got to talk about. So I don't blame you if you're not excited about the NHL this week. The NHL isn't even excited about the NHL this week, at least unless it concerns the All-Star game, which will take place later this week on the weekend. Of course, the NHL All-Star Player Draft, that's going to take place on Thursday. The game itself on Friday, skills competition, or the game itself on Saturday, skills competition on Friday. We've only got 6 games to talk about. We'll talk about them all here on this show today. Have one pick for Monday's 1-game slate between the Nashville Predators and the Ottawa Senators. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets, good old Canadian sportsbook. You can check them out via the link in the description below. They offer some great odds on the next day's NHL games. We've got some games to talk about tomorrow, but just 2 games on the NHL schedule on Tuesday, 3 games on Wednesday, and then the NHL regular season pauses for 4 days. It returns Monday, February 5th. We'll be back on Monday, February 5th with our usual live stream, but I think this is going to be the only live stream for the week since there really isn't a whole lot to talk about. So we're going to put out some other content throughout the week. But as far as the live stream goes, just today. Jake, how was your weekend? Did you enjoy the football? Did it go the way that you envisioned it going?
No, it went the exact opposite of the way that I envisioned and that I predicted it was going to go. We were talking about before we went live that I mostly blame myself because whenever I watch the games I bet on, it invariably turns sour. So I watched the entire Baltimore game. Baltimore played like they had never picked up a football before, so that was fun. And then I didn't watch the first half of the Detroit San Francisco game. Had picked Detroit, went out for dinner. Detroit came out like gangbusters, jumped out to a huge first half lead. So I decided I'll go home, watch the second half. That should be safe. Of course, it wasn't safe. San Francisco obliterated that lead pretty quickly, and then Detroit just kind of fizzled after that. So yeah, it's all my fault. I can bet on football, but I shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. Wasn't really paying attention. Big Saturday in the NHL. I did end up adding a bet on the Rangers, thankfully myself. Not sure why I didn't tweet. I guess because it was so close to game time, didn't bother sharing that with anybody. But if you watched the show on Friday, you picked up 2 losers on Friday. Small bet both ways, but we picked up some winners on Saturday, going 2-0 with the Anaheim Ducks getting a 3-2 win over the Minnesota Wild as plus 195 underdogs. That was a half unit play that almost returned a full unit for us on that win. And we won a unit on the Florida Panthers, who defeated the New York Islanders in overtime after almost blowing that one. They're up 2-1. Islanders scored a late goal to send it to overtime. But thankfully, the Florida Panthers got the job done. So on the weekend, 2-2, but came out ahead about 3/4 of a unit. So happy with that. But like I said, the Rangers, I mean, once again, the Ottawa Senators caught a bunch of steam. Of course, we knew Jonathan Quick could possibly be in goal. But I said on Friday's show that I still thought the Rangers should be a minus 120 favorite, regardless of whether Jonathan Quick was in goal or not. And they spanked the Senators on the second half of a back-to-back, beat them 7-2. Ottawa is in action again tonight against the Nashville Predators. They host the Preds in Ottawa, minus 110 favorites at NorthStar Bets. I guess you could call them a pick'em because the Nashville Predators are minus 109. And if you look around the market here, Nashville and Ottawa basically, depending on where you look, you could find a pick'em price. You could find the Preds down around minus 105. I think that's a good bet. But you know what? I'm going to get a little ballsy here and bet the Predators in regulation at plus 145 or better. I guess you could go a little bit better than that. It's a decent edge here. So I'm going to go 1 unit on the Nashville Predators at plus 145 in regulation. Those are the current odds at NorthStar Bets. Actually better than Pinnacle's odds on Nashville in regulation. So 1 unit to win 1.42 units on the Preds in regulation. Sends forward Dominic Kubalik. He's going to return to the lineup after missing the last 4 games. But the big story here is, I think, Mads Sogard. He was in the starter's crease at Sens practice. Expect him to start in goal. As a result, he's got an 842 save percentage this season. He's allowed almost 6 goals above expected, according to Evolving Hockey, 5.9 minus 5.9 goals above expected. And he's only played 3 games this season, so pretty bad. He's played 19 games last season. He had an 890 save percentage, minus 4.4 goals saved above expected. Nashville, they've actually been better than Ottawa in a lot of respects here. They've owned 54.8% of the 5-on-5 expected goals over the last month. That ranks 8th in the NHL. The Sens, they've been pretty good in that respect. They rank 11th in that category, but they've been sewered by their defense and goaltending, as we saw once again against the Rangers over the weekend. And Nashville, I think, has a leg up here defensively. Goaltending wise, the Senators, they've allowed 4 goals per 60 minutes over the last month in all situations. That's a full goal above average, which is roughly where the Predators are defensively. And Nashville, they're 10-5 on the road straight up since December 1st. So pretty good away from home. I like the Preds to get another regulation win here. I think that the sports books in general are kind of overestimating. There's about an 11% difference between Nashville's money line price and the regulation price. I think that difference should be closer to 9%, based on what I have here. I think the Preds regulation odds should be around plus 125, so we're getting 20 cents of line value as far as I'm concerned. Um, at NorthStar Bets with plus 145. Like I said, Pinnacle at plus 142. Some other sports books down around plus 138. So I really like this bet at plus 145 at North Star Bets. I could have justified laying minus 105 or minus 110 to win a unit on the Preds at those prices, in with overtime included. But I think here with just how much the market seems to overrate the Senators, I'm going to go a little bit harder here. I guess I'm going to lower my chances to increase my payout here, because I still think I've got a big edge on the line. So Nashville plus 145 in regulation, 60-minute line to win 1.45 units. And that's my bet for Monday. So you guys can stick around. We're going to talk a little bit more about the slate that we have for the remainder of the week. But yeah, that's the big fish for this show. I mean, I don't have anything else that I like here. Looking ahead to Tuesday's games, we've got the Blue Jackets. They're in St. Louis taking on the Blues. Rookie Adam Fantilli is doubtful to play on Tuesday, though, so that's a big loss for the Blue Jackets. Of course, we had news coming out recently that Patrick Laine is going to be receiving some assistance from the players' assistance program. So his return has been extended to I guess an indefinite leave of absence. And the coach, Columbus's coach Pascal Vincent, said that Fantilli is questionable to play on Tuesday to close out the team's road trip, but he was actually seen walking with crutches in a walking boot. So I think that's kind of like an all-timer as far as a coach, just not giving up any injury information in the NHL. It's pretty clear that he's probably not going to play before the All-Star break. So consider him out. The Blue Jackets, they are, the Blues. I meant to say the Blues. The Blues, they've been playing pretty well lately. Their underlying metrics not great, but the results have been going in their favor, even if they have needed overtime. But yeah, they deserve to be a bigger favorite. Just not sure. I'm going to have anything on that one way or the other. Can we get the projections up? Oh, we got them up on the screen. Sorry. Minus 159 for St. Louis. So, I mean, North Star Bets has the Blue Jackets at plus 148. There is a sports book out there that has plus 150. So yeah, like I mean, I don't doesn't look like I'm going to be so some of the actually, yeah, plus 159. So starting to show some value on the Blue Jackets at some of the other sports books that are opening up here. We've got FanDuel opening up at plus 150. That's not enough. DraftKings at plus 160. That's not enough either, but it's getting closer to that point. Wouldn't necessarily want to fade the Blues unless it's a really big price because, yeah, I mean, with the injuries, without Fantilli, the Blue Jackets missing a little bit of scoring punch, which I mean goes a long way, right? So yeah, no interest really in that game as things currently stand. Of course, I think both teams are on the same amount of rest in that one. Seattle and San Jose, slight rest advantage for the Sharks here. They've had 2 days off prior to this game. Still very likely to lose to Seattle though, who is back to full strength now. They got Matty Beniers back in the lineup, etc. So their injured list is all cleared up, and they have posted the seventh best 5-on-5 expected goals percentage over the last month, and they've been absolutely rolling with a 63.5% goal share at 5-on-5. So everything coming up cracking recently. If anything, there is a little bit of value here on these early numbers that I'm seeing. Minus 192 currently at NorthStar Bets in favor of the Seattle Kraken. My model thinks the Kraken should be minus 203. Yeah, and DraftKings opening up at minus 205. So yeah, I mean, if you if you're even if you like the Kraken a little bit more than I do, maybe there's a bet to be made there. But um, you know, I wish I had a chance to actually really go back and kind of study this more. But this will be added to my long list of things I'd like to do, and I would imagine that there is some kind of impact here heading into a break like this. Teams are, players thinking about vacationing, etc. It's like that in any workplace. And having worked construction for a long time, I can tell you that the safety people in the construction industry really harp on keeping your mind on task as you head into a long weekend or anything like that, or any kind of vacation. And the same thing goes when you come back from that vacation, because your mind could still be on vacation, right? So there's a lot of that. I think some of that comes into play, and I think that definitely makes me hesitant to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to bet a minus 200 favorite, the day before the All Star break, because are you going to get a team's best? Not sure about that. So a little bit more uncertainty, I think, than usual. The next game we've got kicking off Wednesday, fourth meeting of the season between the Red Wings and the Senators. Each team has one lopsided victory in their favor. Ottawa's earned another victory over the Red Wings in overtime, though, so they've won 2 out of the 3 games straight up. Patrick Kane has missed the last 6 games, but he could play on Wednesday, according to Daniela Bruce of the Red Wings official website. So something to think about there. I've got Kane penciled in to play. And that makes the Red Wings a minus 138 favorite. They've got a rest advantage here over Ottawa, so slight one, anyways, and that could help for sure. The Kings, wow, Nashville hosting LA. I don't know what to say about the LA Kings. They might be broken. I mean, opponents have been beating the Kings 2.9 to 1.9 per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 since December 27th. The Kings, they're controlling play, I guess, the majority of the time, but poor shooting luck combined with declining underlying metrics, they've just been kind of tanking in a lot of respects recently. Their expected goals percentage nowhere near where it was in the first few months of the season. Lot of concern here. Forward Quentin Byfield, he was supposed to return on Sunday after missing 1 game due to an illness, but did not end up playing. So I'd imagine he'd be good to go for Wednesday's game, though, since the Kings have had a few days off. San Jose at Anaheim. The Sharks, they play on Tuesday. They'll play again on Wednesday against the Ducks in Anaheim. The Ducks will have had 3 days off. Anaheim and San Jose met just a little over a week ago, and the Ducks closed as a minus 130 road favorite in San Jose back on January 20th. That was the same day that the Ducks announced Alex Killorn was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks following knee surgery. He joins Trevor Zegras and Pavel Mintyukov on the shelf. I probably butchered that, as they are expected to be out until February 21st. So not great for the Ducks. I've got the Ducks listed as minus 159 favorite according to the model. Not quite sure who will start in goal, but Anaheim's in pretty good shape there either way. Very highly very highly unlikely that I will end up betting on Anaheim, though. Maybe none of these games, to be honest, because the initial look at some of the early lines here, there's only two sports books that have lines for Wednesday out, and I don't know if either of them are necessarily even a little bit reputable. So, not really going to quote the odds. But yeah, by the looks of things, maybe a small edge on Detroit if things open up around the minus 130 range, I guess. And Nashville and LA looks like it could open up as a pick 'em, which I guess I would agree with. I think Nashville will win that game almost 53% of the time. So minus 112 for the Predators. That is their projected price as they host the Kings on Wednesday. But yeah, I don't know what the NHL was thinking here. I mean, do you care about any of these teams? And I know as sports bettors, we can, look at any slate and find some value, especially in some of the uglier games. I mean, if anything, who else is going to be watching San Jose and Anaheim outside of the fans of those two teams, but sports bettors, right? So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. They could have given us something to go on here. Give us one slate. Give us a Tuesday with 8 games or something like that. Anything. But this is pretty bad. I guess the NHL wants you to check out for a week. That'll be pretty easy to do because, yeah, I mean, God, like Nashville's in the playoff picture, St. Louis is in the playoff picture, Detroit is in the playoff picture, LA, of course, Seattle. Other than that, like, I mean, it's just there's not a lot going on. There's nothing to really care about here. Um, Is there much that Nashville can do that will change the projection against LA drastically in this game against the Senators? No, I don't know. I don't like nothing's ever going to change. Maybe a few cents, um, depending on how dominant of a performance we see out of the Predators tonight. One thing I will say about the Senators, I kind of ranted about them on Friday, and about Brady Kachuk a little bit too. But the Sens, they've dominated some games, and you look at their expected goals percentage; it's pretty good. As I said, they rank 11th over the last month at 5-on-5. But if you look at their game logs, they were kind of like break even or worse, not outplaying the other team in as it relates to expected goals. Um, Outside of the games where they had a big rest advantage, where a team was coming in playing, having played the night before, they played, a few of those, actually 4 or 5 of those games in their last, 10-game stretch where they had the rest advantage. And they really did well in those games. They had, dominated them at least from the perspective of the underlying metrics. And that was the case recently. But I think, in the games where they have a similar amount of days rest to their opponent, where their opponent isn't tired, they don't look as good as their aggregate numbers kind of maybe suggest they are. But yeah, there's not a whole lot. Maybe Nashville can get up to minus 115, but I don't know, unless they open up as a road or a home underdog or closer to it, then I probably won't be all that interested in that game. So that is a blend also. There's uncertainty here. Same with the projection for today, minus 118. That's what I think the Preds should be priced at, with a 50-50 chance that Saros or Lankinen starts. I don't know who's going to start in this game. Maybe it's been announced since I started the show here, but um, Ottawa's defense and goaltending have been so bad that I still think the Preds have a leg up here. Lankinen is an average goaltender, Saros above average. So, at worst, they get average goaltending against a team that can't keep the puck out of their own net right now, at least as it relates to expectations, based on the shot quality that they face. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that this game came up. I'm glad that the Preds are here, as a short on a short price against this Ottawa team. Who Connor, who was just in the chat asking about the Preds, he's noted it a lot. The market seems to steam in the direction of the Ottawa Senators. They seem to like betting the Senators. I don't quite know why. I think they've been priced, more or less correctly in a lot of games. By the time the morning of game day this time rolls around, but still, like on the weekend, they found the market finds out Jonathan Quick is going to start. They steam the Senators, all the way, to the point where the Rangers are coming back on the other side as a plus money underdog. And that was an easy bet for me to make as far as, a team that's struggling like the Rangers, uh, that's where I'd like to buy low on them against a team like the Senators, who I just think is so overrated, and will probably continue to be for a large portion of this season. They are a team that a lot of people think, I guess, should have made the playoffs. I don't think that's the case. I think they were a 50-50 shot to make the playoffs. And frankly, that was probably too generous. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, unless they could play the Montreal Canadiens like for the next 30 games, then they'd have a shot. Uh, but outside of that, since they're cooked, stop wasting your money on this team. Either fade them or leave them alone. I don't know. What do you think, Jake? You listening? Did I put you to sleep?
No, I think they'd probably win the President's Trophy if they only play the Habs from here on out.
Yeah, true enough. They might. They might do it.
But
The
yeah, I
Edmonton
think I
Oilers.
saw
I
a
bet
chart.
them.
I saw a chart recently, and of the worst, the worst goaltending in the league for goals expected, goals saved above expected or below expected, and all
Yeah.
three of Ottawa's goalies that have played, any significant point of time are in the top 10 worst goalies in the league. So there's clearly a glaring problem that they have to take care of first and foremost.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And speaking of the President's Trophy, I bet on the Edmonton Oilers to win the President's Trophy. I thought it was a good bet. I thought they had the best odds of winning the President's Trophy. And in hindsight, I mean, they didn't really do anything to change their team. This is the same team that was absolutely shitting the bed to start the season, and now they're just dominating. So I don't think I was wrong. I just think, yeah, some bad luck, I guess, out of the gate. And yeah, I thought it was a good bet at 10-1. People were recommending the Oilers as a 9-1 bet to win the Stanley Cup. And I thought, why would you bet that when, this team still has a lot to prove in terms of the playoffs, when they are clearly going to just carve up the regular season and just, breeze through an 82 game regular season. That was my forecast. And, judging by the fact that they won like what, 12 games in a row, lost three, and then went on a 16-game winning streak. I don't know. I think I was, pretty correct in thinking they would carve up the regular season. Just it's unfortunate that the regular season started in October and not December, I guess. So, but yeah, that's a tough one because this is a team that definitely could have run away with the President's Trophy if they had got off to a better start. But they got off to the worst start imaginable. And I think even looking at Edmonton, I mean, even if their start had been more mediocre and not just like as bad as it was, we might be talking about them, making a push and winning the league. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Futures betting did not. I don't have it up in front of me, but I didn't do a lot of futures betting prior to the season. But didn't this has been my worst year for sure as far as preseason futures betting goes. Usually did pretty good. I mean, every year profitable in the past. I think this year will be the first that maybe I wasn't, but who knows? Still have some stuff out there that I think is got a chance. So we'll see. Do you got any NFL futures that still have a chance, Jake?
No, not really. I'm never. I'm not a very big futures better. Usually bet on a game to game basis, but I will have a couple articles coming out this week talking about some MVP props and things that we can look forward to in a couple weeks when the Super Bowl comes around. So that's as far as into the future as I typically look, is a couple of weeks.
Gotcha. Who's the who seems to be the guy that everybody's talking about right now? Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to get Purdy in that conversation. Probably on both teams, you got Patrick Mahomes and Christian McCaffrey are probably going to be leading the MVP discussions. McCaffrey sort of took the game over to some respects yesterday in the second half, and he's got a touchdown in I think every playoff game he's played thus far. So he's almost a guaranteed touchdown in the playoffs. And then, yeah, you've got guys like Debo Samuel. You've got guys like Isaiah Pacheco. They're running back for the Chiefs. So there's going to be some decent names out there to bet on for sure.
Speaking of futures, Connor asks if Chris Knobloch should be in consideration for the Jack Adams. Actually, I haven't looked at Jack Adams awards odds recently, so can't make an educated comment on that one. But I would imagine he'll be in the running. It's just, I guess, it's a tough one. It's like I think people are going to give that one a hard look and wonder how much the coaching had to do with it and how much it was just a really bad run for this Oilers team. But um, Connor says that he was around 30 to 1 a few days ago. Last I checked. Yeah, I mean, I imagine we're going to get an updated awards watch article from Greg Wyshynski at some point here pretty soon. But 30 to 1 at in a market like that with so much subjectivity, uh, why not? I guess if you're feeling it. But Connor also says he has Travis Kelsey Super Bowl MVP 85 to 1. So yeah, let's hope he puts out a big performance for Taylor.
I kind of, I've this whole season long, I have a sneaking suspicion that Taylor Swift is just kind of writing the script and rigging this whole thing in her favor. So that wouldn't surprise me too much if she gave the MVP to her boyfriend there.
It's like I think for like teenage girls, it must be like watching like the live version of Friday Night Lights, right? Like they're on the field afterwards, kissing and everything, and oh man, it's just funny. It's funny how much of a circus it's turned into. Not that the NFL isn't already a circus, but it's um it's just funny. I don't hate it at all. I think it's good for the exposure of the game. I think it's good for, you know, dads and daughters who are probably watching football together by the sounds of things. So, so yeah, that's good. But yeah, it's just, I don't, we've never seen, there's never been anything like this. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's never been anything like this kind of celebrity around sports before, I don't think. Like, and I mean, lots of professional athletes have dated famous people, but like when Kim Kardashian shows up to a basketball game, like, does anybody care, right?
Yeah,
So
there's really nothing with the magnitude of her fandom just suddenly adopting
yeah,
football. So yeah, it's
exactly. It's
been a unique
crazy
season.
for sure. She's gonna have to fly home from Japan to Vegas to watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, I heard something about that. That she was touring while the. I'd like to go to Japan. That's like one of the few places that I think I would like travel overseas for.
I'd
I
highly
don't know.
recommend it.
Oh, have you been?
I've been. Let me see. Almost 10 years ago now. I think it's 2014, maybe 2015. But yeah, amazing
Cool.
trip.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like such an interesting place to me. One, I love the nerd culture there, like the gaming culture, comic books, everything. Like they've got a pretty cool action figure supply over there, and I also like their pro wrestling culture. It's really cool over there. They have their own like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and yeah, I mean, Connor, he agrees with me. He says it's his top international destination, but it just seems so cool. And I like all the vending machine and like the like ease of like everything seems so like accessible over there. I'd just like to go experience their society for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I'm not sure. I guess like Hawaii would be a place that I would probably deal with the long travel for, but I'm just not much of a sit on a plane for 15 hours kind of guy, right? But
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the one thing that was absolutely brutal about my Japan trip. I think it was about 13 hours there and maybe 12 and a half back. And for a guy who's 6'5", it's rough. It's rough.
Everybody look at it must have been just you must have just been getting oogled the whole time, eh?
Yeah,
Like they must have
on the way there, it was like me and only Japanese people. On the way back, we had a few more people who looked like me, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's yeah, insight asking if you felt like a giant in Japan. I mean, you probably feel like a giant everywhere to a certain degree, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I kind of expected it to be more, but I saw a lot of tourists there. There's a lot of Europeans that go there, like Germans and Dutch people and stuff like that. So every once in a while, I would meet eyes with someone about my height, But so I kind
and
of
nod
expected it to
nod
to
to
be
each
more
other and
drastic.
Give
But
each other a little nod,
yeah,
acknowledgement,
exactly.
like,
Hello,
I
you
know
know,
what you're going through,
because we're the
buddy.
only ones who can make eye contact with each other yet. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You know what you should do someday? You should wear a GoPro like eye level and and then send it to me so that I can experience like what it looks like when you like see how you see the world.
I did that
I'd
with
like to see what I look like. I saw
I did
girls
that with
doing
my
this and I
wife once. I put my phone up to my eyes, and she stood in front
looked
of me, and
down.
I looked around just to see like what I see when I'm interacting with her, and it's just you can barely see the top of her head at the end of the frame. Like,
Yeah, that's good. I've seen the girls doing this on like girls with tall boyfriends or tall husbands or whatever doing this on TikTok where they like put the phone like at their husband's height and like tilt it towards them to see what they look like, and it's pretty funny. But but yeah. Uh yeah. Well, killed some time with some Japanese banter. But yeah, that pretty much does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. We are going to put some more content out, more pre-recorded content this week. So I'm going to be working on a bit of that today. Maybe take a deep dive into the Ottawa Senators, so I can tell you all why I dislike them so much and think they're trash from a betting perspective. Anyway, but that's one thing I've got cooking, and I'll have some articles up on the Canada Sports Betting website. CanadaSportsBetting.ca website, that is. And Jake, he'll have sounds like some football articles up here in the next week or so.
yeah, one on Thursday, and then another one this weekend, and then I'll have my Jake's takes for the Super Bowl, final Jake's takes of the season next Wednesday.
Where is the Super Bowl this year?
Vegas.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I saw cousin Sal uh, tweet that Dan Campbell wouldn't have lasted 40 seconds in Vegas or something like that. Um, that's the only reason I knew. Yeah, no, that's cool. Is Usher playing at the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Is
Usher
that
is the
did I hear
halftime
that?
show, and Reba McEntire is doing the national anthem. So I'm not as excited about that one, but my wife loves that.
Reba?
Yeah, yeah.
So my wife has a good story, and I'm not gonna tell the story word for word because wouldn't do as good of a job as her. But the Big Valley Jamboree is a thing here. You might have heard of it. It kind of became a national kind of story. I don't know, but maybe 10 years ago or less, or more. I don't know. Getting old, but a woman was killed in a huge insane windstorm that rolled through during the concert, like while somebody was performing on stage, and like the stage collapsed and like killed somebody. So that was like that's why a lot of people know about this concert. My wife was actually at that concert. Their tents blew away. They had to like seek shelter in some old couple's RV. Like it was pretty crazy, I guess. So um, when she was younger, though, like I guess just at a high school, college age, she went to the Big Valley Jamboree with her friends, and one of her friends was the biggest Reba McEntire fan, and her friend ended up getting just trashed and like passed out and missed the entire Reba McEntire portion of the show, like the headline act, and cried the whole way home. So that's my I know it's not a good story, but that's my every time I hear Reba McEntire, that's what I think of. So there's some big Reba McEntire fans out there. She's our mom's generation's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's a
Not
pretty good way
really.
to put it. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some betting action on who Usher brings out as a special surprise guest. So I'll probably cover that a bit on the weekend as well. It's always fun to speculate who's going to show up for a
Yeah.
particular artist.
That's terrible Little John impression.
Maybe Little John will be there. Yeah.
I haven't done that in 20 years. That's like my high school. That's like my grad year kind of. I'm pretty sure that came out the same year, like Little John's and Usher's. Yeah. So yeah, definitely brings back The memories. Insight, he's in the chat saying he's going to go get some sushi. That sounds like a pretty good idea. And we've been talking about Japan. I think I'm going to go get some sushi today too. So thanks for saying that, because yeah, that's another reason to go to Japan. Anyway, that does it. Please drop a like on the video if you have not already. And judging by the numbers, a lot of you have not. So what the hell? Subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel if you have not already. That helps a lot. Got up to approaching 1,300 subscribers. Help us get there. It's been a great season. So yeah. Anyway, we will be back throughout the week with some more content, but see you all next week for the next live stream. Until then, good luck with your bets.